a Victorian lady and test my posture, or should I save myself for my books? I don't know, I always choose the wrong option. No, Romy, no. Hello everybody, my name is Lady Romy, and as you can probably tell, I am quite new here. This is my first YouTube video. I'm not a booktuber. I'm not, what's the word? I don't think there's a word for music people on YouTube. Like, not musicians, but music critic? Really not. Anyways, but I will be talking about various topics that interest me, such as, well, books, of course, poetry, anything horror related, really. So like horror books, horror movies, horror TV shows, horror online media, urban legends even. I can do deep dives into certain characters, certain authors, certain actors, certain singers. I will also be doing reviews of things that are coming out, like The Conjuring 4, for example. Or, if I shift over here, the new albums by Florence the Machine and The Last Dinner Party. These are not the new albums, but the new albums are coming out this fall, and I'm very excited, so I'll be reviewing those. Also, other specific interests like Yellow Jackets, The Wheel of Time, A Song of Ice and Fire, My Finger Just Cracked, and maybe some social commentary if I'm feeling daring. Just, there's no concrete plan, really, but anything that comes to mind, really, I will be sharing on YouTube. And if any of what I said sounded of interest to you or sounded right up your alley, then feel free, or actually, please, because I'm trying to grow this channel, subscribe and like, but mostly subscribe. Join me. Reading. Something most of us do to escape, usually though to a better reality. But if, like me, you find it strangely therapeutic and just quite exhilarating to escape to an even worse reality, then this video is for you, because I have a pile of books here that I consider to be twisted books for twisted souls, such as you and me. It's so bad. Twisted. The first book I have for you today is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I won't be getting into spoilers, but you do realize that the mother in this does not have her daughter's best interests at heart, and this is when the daughter really starts to branch out on her own, albeit still tightly under the control of the mother as she is so young, but she discovers her own girlhood, her own desires, and it's an exploration of what love should truly mean, and at what point is it too much? And let me tell you, it does get too much in this. My review, in one sentence, was, I want to eat this book. And not just because there's a steak on the cover. Where was I going with this? Yes, also, name a better opening line than, wait a moment. On my 4th birthday, I plucked 6 severed fingers from the shower drain. Tell me we're not hooked. So basically this is an incredibly atmospheric read with this sort of sense of familiarity, with specks of wrongness, but you can't help but feel lulled in. It's almost cozy. But you never fully let your guard down. You just can't, because something feels off, and something is off. You should not let your guard down. Anyways, the atmosphere is great. The themes are great. The writing is great. I love this sick little book. The second book I have for you is Shuffle. What did I write down in my notes as the next book? Yada yada yada. Oh, Bunny. So, Bunny, you've probably heard of this book. Most people have at this point. But don't be fooled by the Book Talk book label it was quickly stickered with, because it is immersive, clever, darkly humorous, unique, and somehow relatable despite how extreme these girls are. Because they're still like rooted in very real things that you'll observe in the world around you, especially in this like prestigious environment, or like snobbish, I suppose, of an MFA program. And it's honestly just a wild ride. It's the kind of book that you, as you're reading, you just think, what in the 7 hells am I reading? But in a good way. The main character is occasionally annoying, indecisive, and whiny, There is a great twist at the end, even though this book's nature as magical realism leaves chunks of it largely unexplained, or at least very vaguely explained. Or I did read this book almost 2 years ago, so it might just be that I don't quite remember the details. But anyway, this is amazing. Okay, maybe the lighting is better now that you can't see the little spots because I tilted the screen. Anyways, time will tell, and I have no equipment, and I sound like I'm underwater because my mic is the computer mic. But hell, I just want to talk about books. So the next one I have for you is, Lapvona by Otessa Moshfegh. If I pronounced that correctly, I probably did not. I'm gonna sit down for this one. So Lapvona, it is another what the hell did I just read? That seems to have only been written as such. Truth be told, I can barely remember a thing about it since I read it 3 years ago. Sitting in a tree in the forest, my raging fever making it seem like the tree branches were swaying around me. So I was reading a fever dream of a book in a tree in the forest with an active fever. Honestly, can't tell if half of what I read was real or if it was just pure hallucination, but the synopsis goes, in a village in a medieval fiefdom, buffeted by natural disasters, a motherless shepherd boy finds himself the unlikely pivot of a power struggle that puts all manner of faith to a savage test. In a spellbinding novel that represents Otessa Moshfegh, is it Moshfegh? Moshfegh? Not Moshfegh, probably. Sorry. Otessa M's most exciting leap yet. Little Merrick, the abused and delusional son of the village shepherd, never knew his mother. His father told him she died in childbirth. One of life's few consolations for Merrick is his enduring bond with the blind village midwife, Ina, who suckled him as a baby, as she did so many of the village's children. Ina's gifts extend beyond childcare. She possesses a unique ability to communicate with the natural world. Her gift often brings her the transmission of sacred knowledge on levels far beyond those available to other villages, however religious they may be. For some people, Ina's home in the woods outside the village is a place to fear and to avoid, a godless place. Among their number is Father Barnabas, the town priest and lackey for the depraved Lord and Governor William, whose hilltop manor contains a secret embarrassment of riches. The people's desperate need to believe that there are powers that be who have their best intents at heart is put to a cruel test by William and the priest, especially in this year of record drought and famine. But when fate brings Merrick into violent proximity to the Lord's family, new and occult forces upset the old order. By the year's end, the veil between blindness and sight, life and death, the natural world and the spirit world. Don't rap, Romy. The natural world and spirit world, civility and savagery, will prove to be very thin indeed. I seem to vaguely recall this book coming across at least as being disturbing just for the sake of being disturbing. But I mean, it did an excellent job regardless of the intent, because it was disturbing. It's entertaining, it's a fairly quick read, and even better, or worse, depending on how you see it, read it when you're deathly ill. I promise, it is an experience. And I almost just chucked it to the floor. Of course, House of Leaves had to make the list. So here it is, House of Leaves. I'm gonna be honest, I've barely started, but I plan on making it the subject of several videos once I finish. It is a spiral into obsession, madness, losing track of time as you struggle to draw breath among the shifting horrors, brushing their fingers against the nape of your neck in the dark corridors of a house that is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. I heard someone, and don't quote me on this, but I believe it was Davis Morgan on YouTube, whose channel I highly recommend. I heard him describe it as one of those pieces of media that just feels cursed. And I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, The book opens with the words, "This isn't for you," written on an otherwise blank page, and from then on, it just feels as though you've stumbled upon something that you just were not supposed to find, and that will be your downfall. And it's much bigger than yourself. Much, much bigger. Now, this isn't the kind of thing you leave on the bedside table and pick up for some light reading before bed. You have to focus, because this is an enigma. People on the internet have been fighting to decode this, so I recommend notes, highlighters, tabs, and a steady supply of warm beverages. Basically, the synopsis is a family moves into a house but discovers that it is bigger on the inside than on the outside, and soon their children go missing. Except they can hear their voices still, and their voices are saying some very disturbing tales of darkness and worlds beyond. And yes, I'm just pulling this from the Goodreads summary because I have not gotten to that part yet. I swear I'm on page 28. But I highly recommend. Still, just the prologue itself, or the preface, I don't know what it was exactly, as a standalone story is amazing. Like, I was hooked. I was just on the edge of my seat, like, what the hell? It's so good. House of Leaves. If I'm not back on YouTube, you can assume this book consumed me. I swear I keep saying I think the lighting got better, but then I watch it back and it's not. I'm still a glowing orb with barely any facial features and a really big nose. But anyways, the next book is... Let me access my notes. Eep, 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 eep. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Ooh. A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. So this is a rare instance of the child point of view being extremely engaging and not at all annoying. Again, the atmosphere, which I absolutely adore, is that of familiarity in every aspect. So you've got the home life, you've got the family, you've got the world around them, the types of characters. It all feels so familiar and homely and almost comforting. Except something is deeply wrong, and in this case, it is that the family suspects the eldest daughter of being under demonic possession. But here the horror is actually twofold. Because on one hand, she could very well be possessed, but on the other, she might just actually be suffering from a mental health condition and being subjected to all these horrible treatments and media attention instead of actually getting the help that she needs. People have criticized it for being an exorcist rehash, but I think that it actually fully embraces this angle with a self-aware lens that actually questions your beliefs, religion-based lifestyles, and their interplay with modern movies, modern medicine, modern psychiatric treatment. And it's also just a bloody good story. I mean, I love this book. I think it's one of my favorites. Yes, now it's time to get into the books that I don't actually have on my person right now. Here we go. Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This is a gorgeously written sapphic love story with, I was going to say elements of horror, but really it's a love story in the shell of horror. Or, alternatively, horror in the shell of a love story. Depends how you see it. It's beautiful. Honestly, it's beautiful. It's haunting. It's not in-your-face horror, but it's like slow, creeping, unpredictable. You can really feel a sense of despair emanating from every word, especially in Miri's point of view. And I wish things had been explained a little more for a satisfying resolution, even though I know it's supposed to be up for interpretation, but I just want like a few more morsels of information, just a few. But otherwise, it's amazing. It's unpredictable. It's sapphic. It's beautifully written. The synopsis basically is that Miri's wife returns from a tragic accident in an undersea research project / expedition, and she is not the same. We don't know what happened there exactly, but she's acting very strangely. She's just sort of in a catatonic state, and she has these very weird tendencies, such as with temperature, with salt water, with food, just the way she behaves. She's feeling less and less like the wife Miri knows and more like a product of whatever was down there. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, I lied. I do have the next book with me, and that is The Unworthy by Agustina Bazterrica. And I will probably butcher your name, dear author, I'm sorry. Anyways, I don't want to just throw buzzwords at you, but it's the buzzwords that get you into this book, so here we go. This is atmospheric, post-apocalyptic, religious, sapphic horror centered around a brutal, ethereal cult. You cannot tell me you're not hooked. I mean, come on. The plot and characters themselves aren't outstanding, but the atmosphere and concepts and the sheer morbid yet magical creativity of it are what make me give 5 stars without any hesitation whatsoever. And let me tell you, I don't do that easily. Well, okay. I don't want to just be reading out synopses, but I feel like this one is important, just to give you a taste of it. So, from her cell in a mysterious convent, a woman writes the story of her life in whatever she can find, discarded ink, dirt, and even her own blood. A lower member of the sacred sisterhood, deemed an unworthy, she dreams of ascending to the ranks of the enlightened at the center of the convent and of pleasing the foreboding superior sister. Cities are submerged underwater, electricity and the internet are non-existent, and bands of survivors fight and forage in a cruel, barren landscape. Inside, the narrator is controlled, punished, but safe. But when a stranger makes her way past the convent walls, joining the ranks of the unworthy, she forces the narrator to consider her long-buried past, and what she may be overlooking about the enlightened. As the two women grow closer, the narrator is increasingly haunted by questions about her own past, the environmental future, and her present life inside the convent. How did she get to the sacred sisterhood? Why can't she remember her life before? And what really happens when a woman is chosen as one of the enlightened? Now, the next one is a book that does not get enough attention, and it is The Good People by Hannah Kent. Now, I'd never heard of this before, maybe, 3 or 4 years ago, I went to Indigo, which is the Canadian Barnes & Nobles for you Americans. Indigo chapters. Anyways, and I saw it on the discount table. And I thought, why not? It looks interesting. It's like Irish folk horror. And boy, was that a good decision, because it's, as I said, it's this dark, twisted, tragic Irish folktale that blurs the line between myth and legend and reality and makes you feel really deeply for each character, even though they're not very likable. The atmosphere is bleak, it's haunting, and you just want to reach out to the characters and say, oh my god, please stop what you're doing, before they hurtle themselves towards a decision they may never recover from, and spoiler, some of them do not. So, I don't know how to describe this, really. I'll just throw some lines at you from the synopsis. Nora Leahy has lost her daughter and her husband in the same year and is now burdened with the care of her 4-year-old grandson, Michael. The boy cannot walk or speak, and Nora, mistrustful of the tongues of gossip, has kept the child hidden from those who might see its deformity, evidence of otherworldly interference. Unable to care for the child alone, Nora hires a 14-year-old servant girl, Mary, who soon hears the whispers in the valley about the blasted creature causing grief to fall upon the widow's house. Alone, hedged in by rumor, Mary and her mistress seek out the only person in the valley who might be able to help Michael. For although her neighbors are wary of her, it is said that old Nance Roach has the knowledge that she consorts with them, the good people, and that only she can return those whom they have taken. Now, it's not very clear here, but the good people, in this case, we're talking about fairies, as in Faeries. So Irish folk fairies are what's referred to here, but don't go thinking of A Court of Thorns and Roses. No, we're talking those little creepy crawly demons in the Irish woods. But are they really there? That's the question. Now we've come to the end of the list and the end of my first YouTube video, which I will probably die in shame when watching a few years later. But anyways, the last book I have for you guys is called Perfume, The Story of a Murder, and it's by German author Patrick Susskind. It's actually a translation, and I had to read it in French for French class, and if the English version is anything like the French version, it is one of the most beautifully written books I have ever read. And yet, as promised by the title of this video, it is also super messed up. Very, very wrong in all the right ways, although I wouldn't exactly call some of the stuff our main character does right. Actually, most of his existence is pretty much an entire ball of wrong and messed up. But anyways, this is basically a story about a young boy who grows up in the slums of Paris with a very strong sense of smell. Must be quite unpleasant. Anyways, he develops a knack for perfume making, obviously, with his sense of smell. And he goes to be an apprentice to a bunch of different people. And, well, I won't spoil what happens to these different people, but he goes from mentor to mentor, eventually goes on his own. And soon, though, he realizes that he has only one goal in life, and it is to create the ultimate perfume, the best smell in the world. What is that smell, you may ask? Well, there's nothing like the smell of a beautiful young virgin, according to this man. Now, that might be off-putting to you. It certainly was to me at first. I was wondering what I was about to read and why I was even bothering reading this disgusting thing. But it's very intelligent, actually. It's very smart, thematically, and literally. I was going to go prosaically. The prose is beautiful, it's intelligent, and it I don't know, it sucks you in. It is the most immersive thing I have ever read. The style of narration, too, is like, because you really have to see the world as our main character sees it. So it's describing a lot, using mostly smells to describe the world around this character. It's really fascinating. And also the plot is insane. It's amazing. I'm forever thankful to my French teacher for picking this book for us to read, because I can say it's probably one of the only school-imposed books I've ended up loving, except The Handmaid's Tale, although I did read that one before we had to read it in school. Anyways, all that to say, Perfume, The Story of a Murder by Patrick Susskind. So that will be all for today, my twisted souls, but I promise I'll be back time and time again. I'm currently working on 2 videos, one about Yellow Jackets' symbolism and theories, and the other about the Wheel of Time, specifically Moraine and Swan's relationship. So like and subscribe if any of that interests you, and or if you would like part 2 of this video, and or if any of what I mentioned in my little channel intro sounded interesting to you. And of course, feel free to drop any suggestions you may have down in the comments. Ta-ta. That was an odd thing to say, and why is my hand still up there? It's empty. No weapons. No nothing. Although I could be holding, a candle. I should have started the video holding a candle. Yes! I'm gonna refilm the video and start like this. Yeah. Is this lighting better, or was the original better? I feel like this one is better. The original and my future were kind of just blending, but now the background doesn't look as good, so I am conflicted. You know what? First YouTube video, let's just take a shot at this.